y'all, it's Hope at Crafty Hope, and I am working on making a pair of earrings. Now, the base of these earrings is going to be two of these wire frames that I made using a wire jig and 19 gauge black annealed steel wire. I should have a tutorial on how to make these with the wire jig in the description below, or hopefully a link up here if I can figure that out. If not, it'll be definitely in the description below. Anyway, so once I got that frame made, I am going to string up some beads. Now, it's a pretty simple process and it doesn't really use a whole lot of materials, just some beads that you want to put in here and some thin wire. I tried to do this with some 22 gauge wire, which is my favorite gauge of wire, but it just didn't work. So instead I'm using, and I'm not even sure, this is either some 22 or 26 gauge, and it's a black coated wire because I couldn't find any 24 gauge black annealed in the house. So I'm using this instead, and it works just fine. And I've got a, what looks like I've lost my jump ring. Oh wait, no, it flew over here, didn't it? So I've got an ear wire and a jump ring when I'm finished, and I've got a variety of beads. Now I've got some extra beads over here to the side in case these aren't enough for what I'm going to do. It's a pretty simple process. So I'm starting with this wire, and it's probably about a foot long or so, and that should be plenty. If not, it's not a huge deal to add more wire into this design. Now I'm starting with my large bead, and it's going to be here at the bottom. Now I know that bead's really hard to see because it is kind of transparent. And it's just an acrylic frosted round bead that I'm going to have here at the bottom. So I'm going to start there, but I know that it's a little too small to fit in there exactly, so I'm going to have to dip into my seed beads to fill it out. So I want my wire to pretty much consistently run across the top of here so that all the lines that I make are across the top, so none of them dip below. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a tail like this. And the other thing, besides having the wire on top, I'm going to always make sure that when I wrap my wire, it's going to go below the longer wire. So here, and that makes it just a tad difficult, but it keeps everything really consistent. So I'm wrapping that tail below my lead wire about 3 times or so. Now I'm going to leave the tail for now while I put on my other beads. So I'm going to put on here 2 of these black seed beads, and then my 1 big acrylic bead, and then 2 more seed beads like that. And I'm going to fit it into my wire frame as best I can, so I can still move this wire up and down and get it kind of where I want it to be. And once it fits pretty snugly in there, I'm going to take my wire and find the end, and I'm going to put that end underneath where that is ending here. And I'm going to pull it, but before I pull it tight, I'm going to again reposition it and make sure it's everything I want it, and make sure I'm pinching those beads next to that wire and that my wire's not twisting, and pull it as tight as I can. And then I'm going to repeat that about 3 times. Now, when I get that done, and again, I was wrapping under that, but I want these wires going across. And if I wrap under again, it's going under. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire and pull it straight up like this and push it behind. And that's going to put that wire on top. And then I'm going to pull out underneath and then across. And that's going to make that wire go across the top again. So for there, I'm going to put on 5 of my green beads here. Okay, now I've got those 5 on there, and I'm going to pull it across, and I want a little bit of an arc over my bead there, but this is a little, so I want to make sure that the one that I looped over the top here stays pretty close to that first wire. So, and I realize now that I never trimmed my tail wire, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm holding all of this together, and I'm going to trim this tail wire, and use my chain nose pliers real quick to tuck that wire. Alright, now then, I've got that, it's going across the top. I'm going to find the end of my wire again and go under. So basically I'm going between these two here. And again, I'm holding my beads right where I want them. And pull tight, tight, tight. And then repeat again. 2 and 3. Push those lines together just like that. And again, this is not on the top, so we're going to pull this straight up and tuck it in through the frame, pulling it out over, and that's going to go over the top of this line of beads here. And then I'm just going to pull it under and then over. Now I'm going to add my seed beads, and it takes about 15 or so to make up the line the way I want. Here you see me, I'm adjusting. I really want to keep adjusting this over and over again, make sure these beads are lining up and tight right where I want them. So while I'm holding this down here, I'm going to load up about 15 or so of the seed beads. This is not an exact science. This may not be exactly because these seed beads are inconsistent in size, and that may not be, yeah, that's, you can see here, that runs over here. So I'm going to take off, it looks like 2 of them, so that will, so that these seed beads will fit in my frame nice and tight. So again, I'm going to hold them right where I want them, take the end of the wire, and loop it 3 times. I'm going to pull this up, pull it behind, tighten that up, adjust everything, and then pull it over the top. I'm going to do another line of seed beads, again about 15 or so. I'll see if that fits, add or take away depending on what I need. Hard for me going right to left because I am right-handed and I want it to be like that, but it is okay. All I'm doing right now is I'm gonna measure, I'm gonna turn it upside down to see, and push it. I'm gonna push this side down here to see how this works, and again I need to take off 1 or 2 to make these work. So that's 13 for both of those, and again I'm curving them slightly because that's what I want for this. I don't want them straight across for this design anyway. And then I'm going under 3 times. And I'm going to pull up. I don't want that pull out of shape. I'm going to push this wire behind and then pull it over across the top. And then I'm going to add more of the green beads. And this time I believe I need 6. So there's 6 of those, and I'm going to squeeze them on here and get them. Oh, how is that too many? And I fiddled with this, and I know that 6 is supposed to go on here, and I fiddled and fiddled, and I am just going to make it work. If I take 5 off, it's too much room, and if I have 6 on there, it's not quite enough, but I figure I'd rather have them tight on here than loose. So, and that's going to be up to call you make. Now what I'm doing for this is I'm going to do, this is my final one, so I'm wrapping my 3 times. Like the other ones, because I want to make sure this one is good and tight. I'm going to pull up, pull through, but then I'm going to pull back around and under. Make sure I pull that really tight. So I'm pulling that back around, and then I'm going to go back through the under again. So if you can see that. And then pull that good and tight. That is where I'll be stopping. And then I'm going to take my clippers, clip it off, and then tuck everything nice and tight. Alright, make sure it's good and tight. So those are on there, and then using my pliers I will open a jump ring and add an ear wire, and just like that I'll have a fully made earring. So that's all it takes. These I think are super cute. I'm a little frustrated they don't match exactly, but I know that I had a little trouble getting my wires match exactly, but with that wire jig they match as close to exact as I think I would be happy doing. So I'm gonna fiddle with these a little bit more, but I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thanks guys, bye.